Episode 5 of Dragon Ball Daima, titled Pansy, is out. This video is a review of that episode and it will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out and then come back. I still get some comments of people asking where they can watch the episodes. It's on Netflix, it's also on Crunchyroll, and I believe it's on Hulu as well. There wasn't as much world building or new stuff in this episode as there was in last week's episode, episode 4, but I still think episode 5 was pretty solid, and we did get some interesting things, some subtle and some a little bit more overt. For example, Goku claims his Saiyan name in this episode, Kakarot, which doesn't happen often. And we also got to learn more about Pansy, the new addition to their team. We met King Kadan, and probably the biggest sort of hype moment of the episode was seeing a glimpse of Super Saiyan Goku as a kid. And overall, this feeling of this is the start of the real journey of Dragon Ball Daima. Similar to episode 4, episode 5 had a strong feeling of Akira Toriyama's fingerprints all over it. So let's just hop into it. The episode begins exactly where last week left off, with Pansy approaching and introducing herself to the trio, to the group of Goku, Shin, and Glorio. Goku makes fun of Pansy's name, saying it's a silly name. So Pansy in turn makes fun of his name, saying he's one to talk with a name like Goku. And Goku tells her that his Saiyan name is Kakarot, which, like I said earlier, it's not often that we hear Goku claim his Saiyan name. I think the first time is in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, correct me if I'm wrong, and canonically that will happen after this moment in Dragon Ball Daima, so that's a bit interesting. After this, Pansy asks Goku what kind of magic he uses, and tells him that all demons can use at least one magic spell. Let's remember this. Last week I talked about Chekhov's gun, and this is another example of Chekhov's gun. This information is going to be used later on in Dragon Ball Daima. I'm interested now to see what kind of magic spell Glorio can use, and definitely what kind of magic spell King Goma can use. For some reason, Glorio is against Pansy joining their crew at first, and let me just say there's definitely something going on with Glorio. The show is making that clear. At this point, it's obvious that Glorio definitely has ulterior motives, but I don't think it's as simple as he's evil and he's going to betray them. I think what's far more likely is we're going to find out something along the lines of Glorio having a sad story that's forcing him to act in a way he doesn't want to act. Something like one of his family members is being held hostage by King Goma, and so he wants to see King Goma defeated by any means necessary. Later on in this episode, we find out that Shin is suspicious of Glorio. He is finding inconsistencies in Glorio's story, but we'll talk about that a little bit later because that happens towards the end of the episode when Shin shares that info with Goku. Anyway, the group continue to King Kadan's castle, which Goku isn't impressed by, and when they get there, they learn that Pansy is actually a princess. She is King Kadan's daughter. This was a big reveal for me. I didn't expect that at all, but this is also almost completely ripped off of Dragon Ball, with Goku meeting Chi-Chi and finding out she's a princess and daughter of the Ox King, to the point where King Kadan even offers Goku to marry his daughter if he succeeds. And obviously Goku is already married to Chi-Chi, so a complete reference to Dragon Ball, which is becoming a theme in Dragon Ball Daima. I see a lot of people saying Dragon Ball Daima is Dragon Ball GT 2.0, but so far I feel like the show is more of a love letter to OG Dragon Ball fans than it is a recreation of Dragon Ball GT. Anyway, much like the Ox King, King Kadan is large but not particularly intimidating at first glance. His character design is definitely Akira Toriyama style. We all wanted to see the big, buff, badass Demon King. Instead, Akira Toriyama gives us a chubby, balding guy, and that subversion of expectation is just what he liked to do. It's the same reason why Beerus is a cat, or why Super Saiyan God is so slender without muscle. It's just kind of the way Akira Toriyama's brain worked. So yeah, I feel like he completely designed this character. Anyway, in meeting King Kadan, we found out that he didn't necessarily send Glorio for Goku. It doesn't actually seem like he has much of a relationship with Glorio. Glorio approached him about finding someone to defeat King Goma because King Kadan has ambitions of becoming the supreme king of all the demon worlds himself. Quick side note, I want to mention a bit of lore that we got before this point. Pansy mentions that demons live for about 1,000 years on average, and she's in her 80s. Goku was surprised that she was older than him because she looks like a kid. But I think that's a really interesting bit of information, because a demon like Shin is now immortal since his lifespan is tied to Beerus, the god of destruction. So I guess I kind of assumed that demons were also immortal unless they were killed, but that's not the case. They have a long lifespan, but still there's a lifespan, and 1,000 years is nothing in the context of the angels and the gods, who, as far as we know, unless killed, they live forever. Anyway, I think that's an interesting thing to put a pin in, but let's keep going with this episode. King Kadan isn't impressed by Goku initially, although he feels that if this is the same person that defeated Majin Buu, that Goku has to be powerful, so he asks for a demonstration, having some of his seasoned warriors all take on Goku at the same time. Goku agrees, and we get a little exciting, a little nice sparring session for the episode with Goku versus about 15 people, and he mops the floor with them, obviously pretty easily. It was interesting to watch though. It did put a little smile on my face. This is also where we got to see for a moment a split second of Goku transforming into Super Saiyan form for the first time since being turned back into a kid. After seeing this, King Kadan is convinced. He is now willing to support them in their quest to take out King Goma and try and gather the demonic Dragon Balls, so he lends them one of his ships. Shin also asks him to help with the retrieval of Vegeta and Piccolo from the real world, since they won't have a pin number to get to the demon world. King Kadan asks one of his henchmen named Hybis, who seems to have a lot of personality. He was practicing his ballet moves when he got introduced. Anyway, King Kadan asked him to take care of retrieving the people on Earth, so we'll see how that story goes. It looks like they may not be using Shin's old ship after all. They might use this other ship to get to the demon world. And this is the point where Shin tells Goku about his suspicions of Glorio. Shin tells Goku that he noticed that Glorio pretty much lied to them, because he told them that the king requested for him to come get them, but the king had no idea who they were or that they were turned back into kids. So instead, Glorio was the one who approached the king. Shin is rightfully suspicious that Glorio hid that information from them, but in typical Goku fashion, Goku doesn't seem to care. And I think I'm on board with Goku's intuition. I think just looking at Glorio as a character so far, he seems pretty sad. It feels as if he's working against his own will. And I think a big part of Daima is going to be liberating him from whatever issue he's going through. I could be wrong here, but I don't think he's a bad guy. I want to know what you guys think though. Do you think Glorio is straight up evil and he's going to betray the crew and become a villain? Anyway, the episode ends with Pansy officially joining the crew to travel with them. It seems like she's coming on as their mechanic, which is a good thing because the ship King Kadan lends them has its engine go out pretty much a few moments after they take to the sky. The episode ends with the ship crashing into the ground. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. I'm looking forward to next week. Let me know how you guys felt about it. That's it from me. Thank you for checking out this video. Have yourself a great day, and I will be talking to you again real soon. Bye.